Welcome back, everyone, to Sade Sports Talk. I am your host, Sade, and if you haven't already, can you please like, comment, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel? You can also catch my podcast on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcasts. So, what I want to open with today, Cincinnati QB Joe Burrow has been ruled out for the season with a torn wrist ligament. Two of his seasons have sadly ended with season-ending injuries. His first was in his rookie season and that was a knee injury. The Bengals are last in their division at 5-5 and have tough games remaining with the Steelers twice, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Cleveland Browns. So at the beginning of the season, Joe Burrow was dealing with a calf injury and wasn't himself, hence why the Bengals were at 5-5, because if he was healthy, that would not have been the case. And it sucks that, he was pretty much has been injured this whole season. And I felt like the Bengals probably should have took better care of him, or maybe just sat him out for a little bit longer until he was fully healthy. And then I think I heard something about he had a some other kind of hand injury that just probably led to this. So I mean, nobody really knows the case, but this is just a very sucky injury for Joe Burrow to have another season ending in an injury. And it sucks for, Bengals fans because they were hoping that their team was probably going to be in the Super Bowl and probably really could have been if Joe Burrow would have been healthy this whole season. So some other notable quarterbacks that have been injured and are done for the season. Aaron Rodgers of the New York Jets tore his Achilles in his first game as a New York Jet in the first four plays. He keeps talking about that he's gonna make a return maybe sometime in December, but in my personal opinion, the Jets they're not gonna make the playoffs, so there's really would be no reason for him to come back this season. I would say just get healthy for next season, and yeah, don't try to rush back. Kirk Cousins of the Minnesota Vikings also tore his Achilles and is done for the season. Kirk Cousins was playing lights out like at the up until his injury. Really, I know he was. I think he was leading in touchdowns and I think yards passing, or he was either first or second. I'm not too sure. But yeah, it hurts to see him. He was having a really good season, and these injuries, man, they suck for the sport. Daniel Jones tore his ACL. I mean, sucks for him. I mean, at least he's going to be getting paid. But, I mean, I'm pretty sure the New York Giants are regretting that because he's going to be out injured and you still got to pay this man. But his performances were not up to par. Deshaun Watson had a shoulder injury, taking him out for the season. He was really starting to really come into his own. He led the Browns back against a comeback win against the Ravens and seemed like he was going to be on his way to, maybe making a stamp, well, proving that price tag of his, but now he's sadly out. Then lastly, Anthony Richardson of the Indianapolis Colts, shoulder rookie, raw talent, was showing what he could do. I wanted to see more of him to see because he's a very raw talent. Like, if he gets like his mechanics right and they mold him into he can really be a freak of an athlete. So it sucks that we were robbed to see what more else he could do this season. But this season in the NFL, like I've noticed, a lot of players have been getting injured. Like J.K. Dobbins, of running back for the Baltimore Ravens, had a season-ending Achilles injury. Nick Chubb of the Cleveland Browns, just to name a couple. Justin Jefferson is out injured right now. Just a lot of players have been getting really injured this season, and it really hurt, and it really sucks and hurts to see. Like all these players, like really big name, game changing players, just out injured, and it just really sucks. I mean, injuries come with the game, but man, like we're missing out on some talented players. The Houston Dynamo face Sporting Kansas City next week in the Western Conference semifinals. Um, these two teams have history in the playoffs and it has always been a spicy affair. Dynamo beat Real Salt Lake in the last round to get to here, and I think I'm looking forward to this game. I think The Dynamo will hopefully get to the finals, the Western Conference Finals, and then, hopefully the MLS Cup playoffs. We're just going to have to wait and see. Women's soccer, the UEFA this week, the women's teams were competing in the UEFA Women's Champions League. Lyon women versus Slavia Prague. Lyon ran rampant with putting 9 goals past a woeful Slavia Prague team. Lyon scored 6 first half goals, with 3 coming in the opening 20 minutes. Eugene Lissomer and Kadadu Diani scored 3 more between them to give them a 6-0 lead going into halftime. Vanessa Giles got her second in the team's ninth in the 80th minute to close out a resounding performance. Barcelona women versus Benfica women. Barcelona cruised to a 5-0 win to kickstart their title defense. Alexia Putellas opened the scoring in the 15th minute and got a second in the 39th. Fellow countryman Atina Bonmati joined her on the score sheet with a second half brace to give Barca a 4-0 lead before the hour mark. Asad Oswala came off the bench and scored Barca's last goal of the night to ensure the victory. Chelsea versus Real Madrid. This game had both great goals and controversy. Real Madrid opened the scoring in the 10th minute with Olga Carmona hit a banger from way outside the box to give Madrid a 1-0 lead. Right before halftime in the 41st minute, the Blues equalized with Naima Charles and Ashley Lawrence linking up on a cross. Sam Kerr finally broke the deadlock in the 74th minute, with Charles turning into the provider with a perfect cross into the box where Sam Kerr met it with her head. The controversy came 5 minutes later when Jesse Fleming committed a foul outside the box, but Real Madrid were awarded a penalty, and Carmona made no mistake from the spot to level the game at 2-2. Chelsea thought they had the winning goal in the 95th minute, but then it was ruled out for a questionable offside. Arsenal women versus Brighton Hove Albion. Arsenal will be looking to extend their win streak to 6 games after a resounding 6-2 victory over Leicester City women last weekend. Brighton, meanwhile, picked up a narrow 1-0 win against Man City, which was a confidence booster after losing 2 of their previous 4. Kickoff is at 8 a.m. Sunday and will be on Paramount Plus in the FA Player. Manchester United versus Manchester City in the Manchester Derby. Last season, in the first meeting, there was nothing to separate the two teams, with the match ending 1-1. In the second meeting, United got a slender 2-1 win. United will be looking to build on that with the home crowd behind them, and they are coming off a thumping 5-0 win against West Ham, while Man City lost 1-0 to Brighton and will be looking to bounce back. Kickoff is at 10:30 a.m. Sunday and will be streaming on Paramount Plus. Moving on to some men's soccer. It's the international break again, so the players are back with their national teams. So there was Euro 2024 qualifying matches. England versus Malta. England beat Malta 2-0 in a not-so-memorable performance. They got a bit of luck in the 8th minute when Enrico Pepe was trying to clear across but ended up putting the ball in his own net. Subs really changed the game. England didn't get their second till the 75th minute with a slick team link-up, ending with Harry Kane putting the ball in the back of the net. Declan Rice had a goal ruled out in the 77th minute for Harry Kane obstructing the goalkeeper view. I don't think Rice's goal should have been ruled out. I mean, Harry Kane wasn't, from the replay, Harry Kane wasn't blocking the goalkeeper, so I don't really know why he did that, but this England performance for me was a little bit concerning because it's Malta, and England is they have players from attack to pretty much goalkeeper. So the fact that they were only able to win 2-0, which is kind of almost 1-0 because one goal was an own goal, I just feel like it's a little bit concerning. The substitutes really did change the game. That's when England did start to look a little bit more lively. But I don't know. This game just made me want more from England. Like, I really want them to put a stamp on this game, like win 6-0 or 7-0 or something like that. But I mean, they're gonna be in the Euros next year. They got the win, confidence booster. Last game in front of the home crowd, so I guess you just take what you can get from that. France versus Gibraltar. France got their biggest win ever and their biggest victory ever in European Championship qualifying history, winning 14-0. 14. 1-4. 14 goals in this one game. Kylian Mbappe had a hat trick of both goals and assists, and he now has 300 career goals. I mean, this game was pretty much over from the jump. I mean, at halftime, France was already winning like 7-0. Like, I was checking, I was getting notifications from this game, and all I see was France scored, France scored, France scored, just back to back to back. They didn't give Gibraltar really any chance, and yeah, this was a really big historic victory for France. I've never seen, 14 goals in a game. There has been more in the game, but 14, like, I felt like they should have just ended the game like way earlier than that. They was really wrong for let this team getting beat up like that. But my hats off to France. Like, good job. Pretty resounding victory. Netherlands versus Ireland. The Dutch secured their spot in next year's European Championship with a slender 1-0 win. Forward Walt Weghorst got the lone goal in the 11th minute, which proved to be just enough to get the Dutch through. Same thing with the Netherlands, man. Like, they have a talented team. They got attackers. They got midfielders. They have pretty good defense. And I just kind of like that England performance. I just want more. Like, I'm just expecting more. I mean, they got the nice little win, but these these big nations with these top tier players, I'm just be expecting like just a little bit, more attacking power, but players are probably tired and they've already played a lot of games, but in these games they're kind of almost like a little bit meaningless, but still I just be wanting a little bit more. Spain versus Georgia. Spain have won their last 4 Euro qualifying games by an aggregate score of 12-1. They sit at the top of their group with 18 points from 7 games. Georgia have won 2 of their last 4 games, lost 1, drawn 1, and will be looking to hopefully get a better result this time around after Spain beat them 7-1. Kickoff is at 1:45 p.m. Sunday and can be seen on FS2 and Football TV, who offer a 7-day free trial. To round out men's soccer, Portugal versus Iceland. Portugal have won all of their games so far in Euro qualifying and will be looking to remain perfect by going 10-0 against a stingy Iceland team. I mean, Portugal are really just scoring goals for fun in this tournament. They have scored I think they are at least averaging like 2 to 3 goals a game, which is really probably one of the most dangerous teams in Europe right now. Definitely gonna cause some teams some problems in the Euros next year. I don't think they have enough to maybe win it because there's more teams I feel like that have more talent, like France and England and like Spain and teams like that. But definitely a team to definitely keep an eye on. Kickoff of this game is at Sunday at 1:45 p.m. and will be on Football TV. So moving on to the NBA, Bucks versus Hornets. The Bucks beat the Hornets 130-99 with Damian Lillard leading the team with 27 points. He had 5 threes as the Bucks went 22 of 45 from beyond the arc and have now won 3 straight games. LaMelo Ball carried the Hornets with 37 points and was just 1 point shy of matching his career high. The Hornets cut the lead to 6 in the fourth quarter, but the Bucks went on a 17-2 run and built up a 33-point lead. The New York Knicks versus Washington Wizards. Knicks beat Wizards 120-99. Jalen Brunson scored 32 points and Emmanuel quickly added 27 as the Knicks eliminated the Wizards from contention in the in-season tourney. The Knicks have now won 5 of 6 overall and gave the Wizards their 5th straight defeat. Boston Celtics beat the Toronto Raptors 108-105 with Derek White getting the tie-breaking three-pointer with 26.8 seconds left in the game. Boston had to leave things to the end after blowing a 16-point halftime lead. Don't know how you blow a 16-point halftime lead. Yeah, that's crazy right there. Jaylen Brown led the Celtics with 23 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists. The Celtics have now won 6 straight meetings against the Raptors and are now 2-0 in the tournament and have won 5 straight overall games. Philadelphia 76ers beat the Atlanta Hawks 126-116 with Joel Embiid having 32 points, 7 rebounds, and 8 assists. The Sixers are now 2-1 in Group A play while the Hawks have dropped to 1-1. Tobias Harris scored a season-high 29 points and has scored at least 15 points in every game this season to clump Embiid and Maxey. Hawks point guard Trae Young led the team with 22 points and contributed with 13 assists. I'm telling y'all, ever since the James Harden trade, these Sixers are looking way better. That ball is moving. There's no more I. There's like an us. I mean, even though the Clippers beat the Rockets, finally picked up their first win with James Harden. I don't know. I still feel like with James Harden on your team, eventually he's going to get upset and then demand a trade. I mean, if you look at his history, that's all he does. But it seems like, he's happy with the Clippers, I guess, or whatever, and the Sixers are over here, on a win streak since he's been gone. So I guess it worked out for both parties. Phoenix Suns beat the Utah Jazz 131-128 with Kevin Durant getting 38 points and Devin Booker adding 24 points and a career high of 15 assists. Durant has now scored at least 25 points in 11 straight games for the longest active streak in the NBA. Jazz point guard Jordan Clarkson scored a season high of 37 points and he now has 4 straight games with 26 or more points, which is the longest streak of his career. The Suns are now 1-1 in group play while the Jazz dropped to 2-1. So some other NBA games you guys can check out over the week. The Clippers versus the Spurs. Tip-off of that game is at 7 p.m. Monday. Milwaukee Bucks versus the Boston Celtics. Tip-off is at 6:30 p.m. Wednesday on ESPN. Golden State Warriors versus Phoenix Suns. Tip-off is at 9 p.m. Wednesday on ESPN. And lastly, the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Dallas Mavericks. Tip-off is at 9:30 p.m. Wednesday. So moving on to some college football. Number 3, Michigan Wolverines versus Maryland Terrapins. Michigan won 31-24 and now have 1,000 wins in program history, which is a first for a college football program. Running back Blake Corum scored 2 touchdowns, and defensive back Mike Sarenstill got 2 big interceptions to really end any Maryland comeback. This game was very nervy for Michigan. Like, there was times at this game where Maryland was gaining some momentum, and I thought, man, is Michigan really going to lose this game? People are going to be talking about them. They already got a lot of going on. The coach is suspended, this whole sign-stealing thing, but they pulled through. Their defense got 2 big safeties and also scored a touchdown off a fumble recovery. Michigan now face rivals Ohio State at home next Saturday in a big matchup that could determine the college football playoffs. So for that game, both teams are going in undefeated. So one team is going to get their first loss of the season, and I think it's going to be Ohio State. USC Trojans versus UCLA Bruins. USC lost 38-20 in what was Caleb Williams' last home game as a Trojan, and more than likely his last home game in college football. Williams passed for 384 yards with a touchdown and interception. USC lost 5 of their last 6 games after being ranked 5th after starting off the year 6-0. UCLA lit up a woeful UCLA defense with QB Ethan Garbers throwing for 3 TDs with 2 going to tight end Hudson Habermill. Running back TJ Harden ran for 142 yards and running TD and 1 receiving touchdown. I mean, I don't know what happened here, but USC season really just fell apart. Like you start the season off 6-0, and then you end what I think they ended 7-5. I mean, they're gonna be in a bowl game, but that wasn't their expectations. Their expectations were to be in the college football playoffs, but they were just losing like game after game, and I'm not just too sure what happened. I felt like they wasted Caleb Williams last season as a Trojan, because I would have loved to have seen him like in the playoffs and with his talent to see what he could have done. But his defense really on this sold him this season. Like his defense, the offense was amazing. Offense really carried them, but that defense just couldn't withstand. I don't know what was going on. The defensive coordinator lost his job and everything. But it just sucks to see, a talent like that not being able to showcase what he can do on the college football's biggest stage. But we're just going to see what he's going to be like in the NFL next year. More than likely, he's probably still going to be the number one pick. Number 6, Oregon Ducks beat Arizona State Sun Devils 49-13 with quarterback Bo Nix throwing for 404 yards and 6 touchdowns to further make his claim for the Heisman Trophy. The Ducks scored touchdowns on their first 6 drives and gained a total of 444 yards. Wide receiver Troy Franklin had 8 receptions for 128 yards and became Oregon's single-season leader for yards receiving with 1,221. Oregon finished the game with 603 total yards and averaged 9 yards per play. The defense also came a bit, with shutting out Arizona State in the first half and then only allowing 13 points in the second half. Oregon has now won 5 straight and improved to 10-1, with the college football playoff still being a possibility, while Arizona State dropped to 3-8 and will be looking on how to improve for next season. Oregon, man, Bo Nix, that offense, well, shit, even the defense, but that offense, they got it going. Bo, I mean, it is his 5th start in college football, so he kind of knows his way around, can read defenses and stuff, but 404 yards and 6 touchdowns, that is crazy. Definitely, I think probably is gonna win the Heisman this year, just because of how his team's been performing. And yeah, I would love to see Oregon in the college football playoffs too, and see how they match up against maybe like a Michigan or a Georgia. But yeah, Oregon definitely becoming one of my favorite teams this season. So I'm really hope they make the college football playoffs. Number 7, Texas Longhorns beat the Iowa State Cyclones 26-16 with quarterback Quinn Ewers passing for 281 yards and 2 touchdowns as the Longhorns picked up their 5th straight win. Texas is now up top alone in the Big 12 standings and is closer to going to the conference championship game. Kicker Brett Auburn hit a 42-yard field goal with 6 minutes and 10 seconds left to make it a 10-point game. That field goal was also his 14th straight made one. Texas next hosts Texas Tech in an all-Texas showdown on Friday, while Iowa State goes to Kansas State on Saturday. So yeah, Texas also another team that I like to watch as well, doing really good job. More than likely probably going to win the Big 12, I think. Also has a chance to make the college football playoffs. So them in Oregon, I really, really hope to see them in there. It is going to be a little different. It might be like a tiebreaker since both teams have only lost 1 game. But, it all comes down to that last game to see. But, yeah. College football has been really, really good this season. A lot of teams who I thought were going to be good kind of like fell apart. Then some of these teams who I expected to be good are like chugging on, trying to get to their college football playoff. So lastly, to round out college football, Colorado Buffaloes versus Washington State Cougars. Colorado lost in a blowout 56-14 and have now lost 5 straight games and ends their chances of going to a bowl game. Quarterback Shedeur Sanders left the game in the second quarter after taking a big hit. He was 6 of 10 for 86 yards and threw a 45-yard TD pass to Travis Hunter. He was also sacked 4 times, and Colorado's O-line has allowed 54 sacks, which is a FBS worst. Washington State QB Cameron Ward threw for 288 yards and 4 touchdowns, while defensive end Brennan Johnson had 2 fumble recovery TDs and ended their 6-game losing streak. This was the Cougars' biggest Pac-12 victory since 2016. Colorado's last game of the season is on the road to Utah, while Washington State travels to number 5 Washington. Colorado, man, I'm going to be honest. Before this, I was not watching college football. Once I seen that Deion was going to go coach at Colorado, I became an instant fan. I got to admit, I jumped on the bandwagon. Then I started watching college football, every Saturday and stuff. They started off very promising, winning their first 3 games, and then after that, everything just kind of came falling apart. But I didn't jump off the Colorado bandwagon. I didn't jump on the hate train. Everybody was talking crap. Oh, Deion's this. The team is trash. They don't care. Like they're just like an Instagram team. But I mean, this is the same. To me they exceed the expectations, because I mean they won one game last year, and now they got 4 wins, so that's already a big improvement as itself. But I mean, this is the same squad that won 1 game last year, and the only difference that Deion brought was Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders, and I think his son Shiloh. I mean, what were people expecting, for them to go undefeated or something like that? Like, things like this take time. You have to build a team. And first, he already said it. Like, he has to go get new offensive linemen, because you can't have your quarterback sacked 54 times. 54 times in a whole season? That is horrible. Like, there's no protection whatsoever. Plus, they just need, like, some more guys on defense. But I didn't jump on the hate train. I didn't say, like, oh, Colorado's trash. I was just a little concerned, like, man, like, they just losing all these games back to back to back. But I never wavered, because I know once Deion gets this team rolling and he gets, the transfer portal and these things now, recruits and stuff, I definitely think Colorado is going to be able to be a team that's going to contend in, like, the next 1 or 2 years. So I'm gonna stick with them, and I just can't wait to see what they do once they get some better players in the building. So moving on, so winners and whiffs. Yeah, I did not do good this week. So I went 2-1-3. So I got a losing record. So first up, Chelsea versus Manchester City. I had City winning this game, and it ended up being a thrilling 4-4 draw. Man City thought they had the winner in the 86th minute when Rodri fired from outside the box and the shot got deflected off Thiago Silva into the back of the net. Chelsea were awarded a penalty in stoppage time, and former Man City player Cole Palmer stepped up to fire it home. It's kind of crazy how you sold this player to one of your rivals, and then he ends up getting a point for them when you thought you had to win. I mean, Cole Palmer, he's been a plus for us on Chelsea since, he signed for us. Definitely has been one of our best players so far this season. But yeah, this is a really good game. Very back and forth action. I wasn't expecting it to go this way because, with Chelsea, I never know what I'm going to get, which is why I picked Man City in this game. But Chelsea showed some fight, like some grit. Like, they didn't waver anything. Like, they really took it to Man City and fought back, and that's what I want from Chelsea for, like, the rest of this season. Like, performances like that. Well, not giving up 4 goals, but just, staying in the game, not wavering, and sticking to the task. Brazil versus Colombia. I had Brazil in this game, and they unfortunately lost 2-1. Gabriel Martinelli opened the scoring in the 4th minute with Vinicius Jr. getting the assist. Colombia leveled in the 75th minute thanks to Luis Diaz, and 4 minutes later he got the winner. And Luis Diaz, my heart goes out to him and his family. His mom and dad were kidnapped by a Colombian militia group for whatever reason, and his father was in the stands, and when his son scored the goals, he was very emotional. Of course, those goals were for his dad. So, I mean, I'm upset, that Brazil lost, but I'm more happy for Luis Diaz and his family. Atletico Atletico de Madrid versus Villarreal. My pick was Atletico in this game, and they won 3-1. Axel Witsel equalized for Atletico in stoppage time of the first half, with Antoine Griezmann getting the assist. He then turned into the goal scorer in the 80th minute to give Madrid the lead. Semilino secured the win with getting the team's third in the 85th minute. So moving on to NFL, Ravens versus Browns. I picked the Ravens in this one, and they lost in this AFC North Division game 33-31. Deshaun Watson led the Browns in a 58-yard drive to set up the winning field goal to help Cleveland complete a 14-point comeback. He went a perfect 14-14 on his passes in the second half and finished with 213 yards passing and 37 yards rushing. Yeah, these division games, like, you never know, that opponent knows you so well, so it's really a game that could go any way, even if you've been on a winning streak. And Ravens are, I guess you could say, the better team. So for Cleveland to get this and to erase a 14-point comeback, that's pretty impressive. The AFC North is a very crazy division with, like, some very gritty teams, and you never know who's gonna win in that one. So San Francisco 49ers versus Jacksonville Jaguars. I had the Jags in this game, and they got blown out 34-3. Trevor Lawrence looked awful. He got sacked 5 times and responsible for 3 of the 4 teams' turnovers. Um, yeah, Jacksonville, they have a tough 5 possession stretch where there was a fumble, they kicked the field goal, there was an interception, another fumble, and then another interception. Uh, the Niners ran for 144 yards when Jacksonville is supposed to be one of the league's top run defenses. And now the 49ers, they look like a Super Bowl contender again. I think they had lost 3 straight games, so they picked up a big win here against the Jacksonville Jaguars to give themselves some confidence. Defense looked great. I mean, obviously only held Jacksonville to 3 points. So, yeah. I mean, it sucks for me because I picked the Jags, but I'm happy, the 49ers got back on track as well. Lastly, Lions versus Chargers. I picked the Lions, and they won 41-38 in a shootout thanks to Riley Patterson kicking the game-winning 41-yard field goal as time expired. Jared Goff led the Lions on a 9-play, 53-yard drive that set up the game-winning kick. He finished the night going 23 for 33, 333 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So this was a really good game, a shootout. Jared Goff, came through for the team when he needed to. But I mean, even Justin Herbert, I mean, putting up 38 points, you know. This game both shows that both defenses aren't really that good. So it's kind of like a win-lose type situation. Like, yay, your offense can score points, but then it's like, dang, like, my defense gave up a lot of points. Especially since these two teams probably are going to be playoff contenders. They need to shore up those defenses. So last segment of the day, game changer must see matchups and picks. First up, I got the Dolphins versus the Raiders. I'm taking the Dolphins in this game, who are coming off a bye and they're playing at home against a weaker opponent. I mean, the Dolphins at home, like, they're pretty much unbeatable, and they're coming off a bye. Mike McDaniels is the offensive head coach, so I know he's pretty much got something planned for the Raiders. The Raiders, meanwhile, they've won their last 2 games since Josh McDaniels was fired. The spirit in the locker room is better with interim head coach Antonio Pierce. Really So last segment of the day, game changer must see matchups and picks. First up, Dolphins versus the Raiders. I'm picking the Dolphins, who are coming off a bye and are playing at home against a weaker opponent. I think they're like either 12 or 13-point favorites in this game. So yeah, that means it's probably going to be a blowout. I mean, the Dolphins at home, they're pretty much unbeatable. Mike McDaniels is a offensive head coach, so I know he probably cooked up something special and different. But I mean, the Raiders might give them a little bit of a challenge. They won their last two games since Josh McDaniels has been fired. Interim head coach Antonio Pierce, he really seems like a player's coach. The players have already bought into him. The vibes in the locker room are better. The players are playing better. They're happy. But I think that little 2-game win streak is definitely gonna come to an end here against the Dolphins. San Francisco 49ers versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm taking the Niners in this one. They blew out the Jazz last week and looked like Super Bowl contenders again. Tampa Bay is not a very good team. Baker Mayfield is going to have to deal with a lot of pressure between Nick Bosa and Chase Young. They typically say once you blow out a team, that means you're going to get blown out, but I don't think that's going to be the case with the 49ers. Tampa Bay, I mean, they got some guys at wide receiver, but I just think Baker Mayfield is going to be under a lot of pressure, so he's not going to be able to get the ball to those guys. And, on San Francisco side, we got a lot of playmakers, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, so this one should really be a straightforward win for the 49ers. Buffalo Bills versus New York Jets. Picking the Bills, who lost in disappointing fashion on Monday night to the Denver Broncos, said they're going to be upset and looking for blood. They fired their offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey, and appointed quarterback coach Joe Brady. So, yeah, they'll be looking to bounce back. And, I mean, the Jets' offense is just awful. Like, it only seems like the thing they can only put up is field goals. And I don't think there's going to be enough to get past this Bills side because the Bills' defense, they do have a lot of players that are out injured, but they still have a decent defense. And, it's not like the Jets are going to be able to move the ball against them because they just, I don't know, they're just very tone-deaf on offense right now. But, yeah, so I'm picking the Bills to bounce back. They're not going to want to get 2 losses in a row, especially you lost to the Broncos and now you lose to the Jets. Yeah, that's not going to be a good look. So I'm taking the Bills. Eagles versus Chiefs. I'm picking the Eagles to win in this Super Bowl rematch. The Chiefs are a very good first half team, when all the plays are scripted. But in the second half, when they got to go off script, not really, the best. They have some deficiencies severely at wide receiver. Really, the only guy that Patrick Mahomes can count on is Travis Kelce, but what if they double team him or something like that? You can't just depend on him for the whole game. Your wide receivers need to show up for you. But their defense has been really, really good this season. Definitely, I think top 10, one of the defense in the league. I think though Philly has a little bit more on offense that maybe could beat their defense. Plus, Jalen Hurts, he can get plays with his legs. Then they got DeAndre Swift in the backfield. They got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Yeah, I know the Chiefs do have some cornerbacks that can match up with those guys, but I don't know. I just think the Eagles' offense will be able to overcome that stingy Chief defense. But then again, the Eagles' defense has regressed a little bit. Their secondary hasn't been the best anymore. But with the Chiefs, not really having anybody at wide receiver, maybe for this game that won't be an issue. But I'm taking the Eagles to get their revenge. Lastly, the Chargers versus the Packers. These two teams don't really match up against each other. I know the Chargers haven't won in Lambeau in a few years. But I'm taking the Chargers to bounce back after, losing to the Lions last week. Justin Herbert is going up against a Packers secondary that has has had a lot of injuries, but has only given up 119 yards passing. But then again, they haven't really faced any quarterbacks as talented as Justin Herbert. They've only faced, I think, Kenny Pickett and somebody else. So I think Justin Herbert's going to light them up. Then as far as for the Packers, I mean, quarterback Jordan Love, he's kind of has his moments, doesn't have his moments. So, yeah, they are at home though, so maybe that could be an advantage. But I just think the Chargers are gonna pick up the win here. They just too talented, have more, just have a little bit more on offense that I think can overcome the Packers defense. So my pick is the Chargers for that one. But alright guys, that's all I got for y'all today. If y'all remember, make sure y'all like, comment, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also catch my podcast on Spotify Music, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcasts. Again, thank you guys so much for y'all support and tuning in. I will catch y'all next week. Thanks guys.